Well, well, well. Look who was wrong. Me. I was wrong. Did you guys see that? Lay's put out a tweet today saying, only jumping in to say, we're Team Taylor. Hashtag BB24. Now, let's remember this. It's not a sponsor. Not a sponsor. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome back to another episode of DAC Chats. It's great to be back with everyone. Apologize for the long launch time. It has been a bit of a longer evening, and I've had a bit going on, but I do have a good excuse as to why I'm just running a tad behind. My youngest is finally starting school. Say finally. Let me rephrase that. My youngest is starting school. Tomorrow is her first day of school, and so we've been spending all evening trying to get everything prepared and get her ready and get all the outfits picked out and all that stuff. So I'm sorry everyone. I know it's been it was pending for a long time, but we're here. We're ready to go. And did I say my youngest? I meant my oldest, not my youngest. My oldest is starting school. Yes, my youngest, my wife's texting me. She's watching. Says, you're mixing your kids up. My oldest is starting school, not my youngest. I'm not that old. I am not old enough to have two kids that are both school age. Not old enough for that. But it's been a great night here. I'm gonna fix one thing before we get started because this is bugging me. Get this lowered here. It's not going to have much of an effect for you guys, but it's going to have a huge effect for me because I cannot stand. There we go. Okay. There we go. It's a little bit. No. We'll go back up. I had to readjust my setup, but I want to make sure that the camera's at an angle so I can look. No, let's move that back. There we go. There we go. That's better. We'll rock with that for now. Hopefully this isn't too intrusive as well. I wanted to try a different placement for that and see how that works. So, all right, guys. Yes, we are back. It is veto night, veto episode tonight, and I guess veto and a half or half veto episode because we didn't get the ceremony. And it's interesting because knowing I haven't kept up a lot with the feeds this week. It does tend to get kind of to a point at this point where I don't follow along as closely. That is so crooked. That is bugging me. Oh. It usually gets to the point where we're in the slow section, right? So we're kind of in the steamroll part that we always hit. And this year has been kind of a good steamroll because, it's been a steamroll that we're all happy about. But it still is kind of at that point where not a lot of excitement is going on, except for this week. This week there's been a few different things going on. And so I've been trying to play catch up. I hate that word. I hate saying catch up. I hate catch up. But I've been trying to play catch up and kind of piece together what's been going on. So since we didn't do an episode Sunday, to kind of make up for some of that, even though it really doesn't, it's kind of doesn't matter. We're going to have the latter half of tonight's stream is going to kind of cover a little bit of what we're going to see tomorrow. So spoiler alert in advance. If you don't want to hear about that, we'll give up a warning sign. And we'll kind of go over a little bit of that just because with tomorrow being a 2-hour episode, there's going to be a lot that does, well, we still probably won't see as much make tomorrow's episode because the whole second half, I would bet they're probably only going to spend about the first quarter, at most the first third of the episode dealing with this week's stuff. I have a feeling that because of the structure of the new twist, with it being so different. Again, we said it last week. This really is, for the first time, something we haven't seen before. And, they like to throw that out there a lot, but it's actually true this time. At least from Big Brother. I mean, like I said before, we've seen this on Survivor. It's actually become kind of a regular thing, and that's probably where they got the idea. That and a combination of what BB Canada did in season 9, because season 9 BB Can, they kind of split the house up a little bit there in the first 2 weeks, and then it was 2 teams of however many there was in there. I think it was 16, so 2 teams of 8, and then but after 2 weeks, it was it kind of felt like when we were watching that the show the production had planned to let that go on a little bit longer, and they saw how bad feedback it was getting and how bad it was turning out, so they adjusted it. That's one thing I love about BB Can, is that if they see something is detrimental to the game, they'll make adjustments. And I'm kind of fine with that, because yes, while you do feel like, if we relate it into football terms, when you look at the production, they are kind of the commissioner, they make the rules, but they also service the refs. So if they do see something, they can intervene. BPUS doesn't do that. It's one of, talking about, game as a purist, I don't even really consider that being part of the purity. And beyond that, this is the only purity thing that the show, that production even cares about. So, again, I don't want them to just kind of alter stuff through the season because of feedback. But when it comes to the rules themselves, if the rules aren't working, then maybe make an adjustment if you can see that the outcome is not what you're wanting or not what you're expecting, right? There's ways to do that without it really intervening. You can call an audible. You can say, all right, that's it, right? Don't just make stuff up to save people. But if you have something going that's not part of the core game and you want to end the twist a little sooner, I don't see anything wrong with that. I feel like a lot of these twists shouldn't be there to begin with. So it's just annoying their perspective. Again, we've talked before. It feels like they don't care how good their show does. I don't know. It's funny. It's weird. I don't know. But yeah. But anyway, that was a whole side point. We've seen this going on a rant. We've seen this twist before. And on Survivor and Big Brother, it does. I've always said, from a game perspective, it kind of bugs me a little bit, because of the simple fact that when you already have the flow going, you've already made the decision to merge these 2 tribes into one, there shouldn't be a whole lot of, everyone should have a say, right? That's kind of my general idea. I don't typically like it. I believe I'm getting proven wrong twice in this stream tonight, but I believe that Thursday I mentioned something about how that was my stance. I don't see my stance changing. It's possible, but I don't think it will. I kind of have changed my stance just a little bit, because the way I'm trying to think of it is, and we've said this, it wasn't last week, I don't think. It was within a week or 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, that we said something about this. But when it comes to stuff like the veto, right? The veto wasn't even introduced until season 3. That is a function to the game that you're changing. Just like we have, double evictions, and we have, we used to have buybacks. As much as I didn't like the buybacks, at least those were still, that was still kind of embedded within the game almost. It wasn't as twisty as it was, this is how we do it, because they were so consistent for so long. And even now, house guests are still fearful that, the jury buyback is going to happen, or the pre-jury buyback, or sometimes both. And they're nervous that that's going to occur, and that they're going to lose, some favor with outgoing house guests. So, when it comes to those types of things, I don't mind if they're changing kind of the structure, right? If you want to alter it. Now, I may not like the change, but I'm okay with you making changes if you think the game structure needs to change, because just like with any game or any sport, it's got to change and evolve over time a little bit. So If you want to do that, I'm fine with it to a degree. If they kind of, because Survivor pretty much has done this too. If they were to make this part of, yes, it is kind of a twist for the first season, but if they were to make it in a sense of, where once you get to this point, once you get to 10, then it's kind of a known fact. Maybe they even wait until 8 some seasons, but just like a double, you don't quite know when it's going to hit, but you have an idea, and you know that it's going to kind of alter the game a little bit, just like the double does. Because the double eviction does alter aspects of the game, different ceremonies, different functions. So I started to warm up to the idea, the concept. Once I started thinking about the implications of how it could go, right? When Survivor, it's never really all that exciting because it's just for that night. But with Big Brother, you have a whole week that they're talking about that they're going to be completely separate. New alliances can form. New alliances probably will form. New theories, new ideas. There's so much potential for what could change in that 1 week for the different sides. From a social experiment, human element type thing, I think it could be really interesting to watch how this unfolds. So I'm not going to lie. I have kind of changed my tune about it a little bit. The more that it's kind of built up, the more it's kind of hyped around. I'm starting to come around to the idea. And to be quite frank, I'm actually, I will say, I am very excited. I'm very excited about what this week is going to unfold, or what's going to unfold this week, what this week's going to entail, right? Because we got we got a 2-hour episode tomorrow, and we're going to have regular eviction, and then they are fully going to be expecting Julie to come on and say it's a double. They're going to have no idea what's going to hit them. Now, there are some very strange possibilities that could occur. We don't know what's going to end up happening. How the players are going to get drawn, or if they're going to get drawn, how the players are going to be determined per team. Is it going to, what players are going to be on what side, right? A big topic is, where is the other half going to live? Now, I instantly, well, not instantly, but like Friday, the day after, was thinking, and I might have even said it here too, I've been curious, I can't remember the name of it, but the BB All Access or whatever, the loft that they built for the competitions, kind of like the basement that they built for the competitions. Where did that go? Because they haven't used it at all. And people have said, I've heard people say, well, maybe they could just live down there. And then other people are like, well, that's not structured for the live feeds, right? Even if they just don't show the feeds in that section, which if they let's say hypothetically they did that, or they even relocated half the house or whatever, if they don't give us access to both houses, that is ridiculous. And I was thinking, so are they just going to merge both those together? Like the whole feeds aspect, because I'm really excited to watch the feeds this week. Super excited. I'm scared. I'm very scared. I'm very nervous how production is going to go about it. But nevertheless, we'll find that out. We're not going to know until it happens. So, but tomorrow is going to be a fun one. But my theory was, okay, so we haven't seen this loft all season, and everyone's talking about, or the basement. People refer to it as a basement, so we'll call it the basement. We haven't seen the BB basement that we've seen in 22 and 23. We haven't seen it at all this week. And both seasons of those, we saw the basement being used for the competitions very early, because it was part of those early game comps that we've been having for years now, where on Sunday's episode we have that other an extra comp, because they love having the comps on the episode. So make sure there's a comp each episode. So everyone's like, well, it's not fitted for that, right? They can't possibly they can't move them down there because that's not equipped. That's set up for challenges. Okay, well, we haven't seen it used yet. I mean, if we had been seeing it used for like a twist competition, and it'd look identical the way it's been the last 2 seasons, then yeah, totally agree. You couldn't set that up in that short amount of time. You wouldn't be able, the setup that is there, it is built to film competitions, but it's not built. I mean, even if they didn't show the feeds in there, they still wouldn't be able to get the shots that they need just for the episode alone. So everyone's like, well, it's not fitted for that. But we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it all season. And it's getting far into the season where, like I said, we would have already seen it. It's perfectly possible that once they started realizing the route that this was going to go and figured out the twist they were going to do, they could have easily just reformatted it, right? Because absolute worst case scenario is they lose a little bit of space. But that room is pretty big. It's very, very big. And so there is an episode from that, or not an episode, there's a YouTube video that Big Brother or CBS or whoever, they put out back during BB10. And it was Danielle Reyes with Allison Grodner, and Grodner was giving her a whole behind-the-scenes tour. I just rewatched that a few days ago, or not a few days ago, but not like last week or the week before, because I love watching that. I love watching behind the scenes. I wish they would do an updated one because that video is so blurry. It looks so bad. I wish they would update it and kind of show you like a more modern version of how we do it. I love that. Absolutely love it. I also love watching and going back and watching the house tours that they do. BB12, I think, was the only one that really did it, where they show the inside of the diary room. They kind of show you what the player sees when they're talking in there. I thought it was cool. But anyway, when you watch that, I'm sure in person it's bigger than what it seems on camera, but those hallways are very narrow because they have these cameras on that rolling trolley. So they don't have to switch cameras or move. They just have the camera guy, whoever's watching them, just move around. But that's just for the glass on the inside. So they might shrink a bit of that space by having to build that walkway. They may not be able to go behind, but that room is plenty big. So if they just had it walled off, right, have 2 rooms, because they could easily do that, have an HOH room, then have a 2 or 1 other bedroom for the 4 other people to share with 2 beds, because that's what they're already doing in the other house. Then just use, they could build a temporary kitchenette if they didn't want to build a main one. And then both house guests or both sets of houses just switch off the backyard for comps. That could totally work. They could have set that up. So that's what I'm most excited for, and that's what I think is kind of the route they're going to go with that. All right, so we have gone on long enough. It says 41. We've only actually been going for about 20 minutes, but not even that, like 15 minutes or so. But we're going to go ahead and get on with going over tonight's episode, because if I don't stop myself now, I won't. Honestly, I'm more excited for what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be such a hype episode of Big Brother, and the recap episode following is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. I'm ready for that. But let's focus on tonight. That's what you guys are here for, and you have waited long enough. So we come back from the episode. Taylor says that her target is Terrence, and she wants to make a big move, but she's trying to avoid making a lot of enemies. And so she's like, you know what? It's best for me to just try and avoid having as many pissed off people in the house. She doesn't want to. She wants to maximize on the amount of people that will root for her. And 100%, if jury management was important more than ever in any of the season for any of the player, it's her. Because of everything she's gone through, she's already going to have a very, very rough time getting some people's votes. So she needs to be able to maximize on as many people as she can. Indy says that, she was told that the target was Monty, but she doesn't care. She still doesn't feel safe, and she's going to have to try and win the veto. Monty says, I thought it was funny that before going to the other nom, we go straight to Monty because it's just so in the background. But Monty says that, listen, the rest of this week, it should be very straightforward. We already know what the plan is. We're going to get Terrence out, and we don't have to make any adjustments as long as neither one of them win the veto. Terrence says that he's been on the block 4 times now, and he says it doesn't get any easier with each time. You only learn to pack your bags faster. I thought that was pretty funny. That was a funny comment. He goes to Taylor, and he says, he asks her, "Hey, am I screwed or what?" And she says that, "Listen, Monty's my target, and so you don't have to worry about that. I'm just you're just a pawn. We're trying to get a bigger target out." She kind of alludes that in her nomination speech, but she tells us that no, Terrence that time is her target. She has no intention of backdooring Monty or anyone else at that time. And Terrence, he's not buying it. He's like, "Listen, I can tell. I know they're working together. So the fact that she's trying to tell me that that's her target makes me even more worried that I'm her target over even Indy." We see Taylor talking to Indy, and she says that, Indy, you just need to gun for the veto because you're not my target. She says that, Terrence, he's my target, and that, Taylor says, if I win the veto, Indy, I'll pull you off. So then she tells us, "Listen, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm hoping I'm not in a situation where I do win the veto and I'm faced with having to pull Indy off, or show her that I'm not going to pull her off. But if that happens, we'll cross that bridge when we get there." And this competition is really the only competition that you can't throw. I mean, the best strategy, I guess, is to go out last because one of those 5 people is going to want to take that veto from your neck, most likely. But I'm pretty sure we've seen at least once before where the person that went out last ended up with a veto because no one else wanted it. So this one is truly unpredictable. You really don't know if you're going to be able to throw it or not. But she's going in it, and that's her plan, is to throw it. So Indy is talking with Joseph, and I didn't see who else was in there, but Joseph and a couple of girls. And she says that I don't trust Taylor because last week we all said that if the bestie twist ends this week, that we're not gonna put any of each other up, right? And she just did that, so I don't trust her. Joseph is in there, and he's talking about how he's a double agent. And on the feeds, this dude's been having a lot of fun, almost to an extreme. We'll kind of catch up to that in a second, but he has been having a lot of fun being a double agent. He's in the 5 Swatters group, and he's able to get good info from them. He's able to suck some info out and provide it to the leftovers, and he feels that it's a very useful position for him to be in. Jasmine says that Joseph is not the sharpest. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. She said he's not the sharpest something or whatever. I can't keep track of her Jasmineisms or whatever. I tried. There was a couple tonight. I just couldn't, except for one. But she says that he's not very smart, essentially. But they're going to use Joseph because it's obvious that Taylor has a crush on him. So they're going to use Joseph to milk Taylor like a dairy cow and get all the info they need out of Taylor from Joseph. I didn't like that one. Not at all. For multiple reasons. Joseph tells Taylor that he goes up there and talks to her, and he's like, "Look, the girls, they're taking it well, right? So, if as long as the nominees, as long as Indy and Terrence, neither one of them win the veto, one of us wins the veto, we can keep the noms the same. I think they'll be cool, right? Because at the time, they're talking about getting Terrence out. So they're like, we'll just reassure them. Terrence is a target. That's what we've already told them now. And they'll be fine. They won't worry about it. And Taylor says that, listen, or Joseph mentions that, look, if one of them do win veto and they pull themselves off, then we can put Alyssa up. Taylor says that she can't put Alyssa up because basically that's going to upset Indy too much. Indy is already upset with her because she put her up, and so she knows that Indy's going to get even more upset if she puts her best ally up, Alyssa. So she says she just wants the nomination to stay the same. Take Terrence out, be easier that way. Terrence is talking to Joseph, and he says that he's feeling all right, but he's kind of sketched out. He's asking Joseph, who would you pull, or who would you choose if you were nominated? Who do you think I should choose? I guess that's what he was saying. When I first heard it, I thought he was saying, who would you pull? But he's not an option to pull a name. So I guess that's what he was saying, is who would you pull, right? So he starts talking to him. He says that, if you get the veto, I want you, like, if you get drawn, you win veto, I want you to use it on either me or Indy. And I don't care which one. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to have to see Taylor have a renom so I can see where her true allies are, right? Where is she aligned with? And he says, he don't matter. It doesn't matter who comes down, which, again, Terrence, he's complaining about being on the block, and then he's like, I don't care, you can leave me up. I hate that. Anyway, so Joseph goes and talks to Taylor and tells Taylor what he said. And he tells Taylor that, if someone comes down, Joseph says, you should put me or Monty up. Because Taylor mentions how she's afraid of having to put someone up because then it's going to hurt her. She's going to have to find someone on that side to put up that's going to expose her. So he's like, look, this is going to cover your bases because you won't have to out yourself to the girls. You won't have to out the alliance, and it'll look like you're putting up a big target. And then we'll have the numbers and we can send Terrence home. So Taylor's like, that's not a bad idea. If we do that, that's a good plan for me. It works out for me. She agrees. So they have Michael up there, and they're playing to Michael. And Michael says, basically, Joseph is an idiot. That's basically what I took from what Michael was saying. And he says that it's not necessary for him to put himself up. So they tell Monty and Kyle, and they basically say, okay. They're all like, again, you're going to pooch yourself. But if you're going to volunteer, that means I don't have to go up, right? So that's that's best for them, because they can kind of guarantee they don't have to go up. So Michael and Brittany in the storage room, and Michael tells Brittany about the plan, and they start talking, and they're like, you know what? If the veto's even used, if it comes down, or if it's used and one of the two noms come down, and Joseph goes up, it might not be a bad idea. Go ahead and take that shot, because Joseph is a pretty big threat. He's been working both sides. That's been kind of making them nervous because they basically told him at this point, you can stop. In fact, you need to stop, and he's enjoying his CIA double agency very much, and he doesn't want to stop. So they're getting a little bit nervous about that. So they're like, look, if it happens, it happens. The other side would have most of the numbers, and we could still stay good with the leftovers. The leftovers as an alliance would still have all 6 after Joseph is gone, and I think we can make that work. So we get to the veto draw. Veto players are Taylor, Indy, Terrence. Then we get Alyssa, and she's chosen by Taylor via house guest choice. And then we get Jasmine and Kyle. Alyssa talks to Taylor and says that, hey, if you want me to, I'll go up if I win and I'll use the veto, who would you want me to use the veto on? Would you want me to use it? Who would you want me on? She says, Taylor says, well, I did tell Indy that I'd use it and pull her down, which again, she kind of made it sound like she didn't want to. So why are you shooting yourself in the foot? Because now you got 2 people or 3 people trying to get Indy to come down. So that wasn't the smartest move, I don't think, for Taylor in that instance. But that's she tells her that, and so she says, okay, well that's great. Then I'll pull Indy down. Don't even got to worry about it. Monty is talking with Joseph, and he says that it's a better move to get Indy out because she's been a better competitor. Now, she hasn't won anything yet, but she's come a lot further than Terrence has. We already have both of them up. Might as well, I mean, there's no other bigger target right now. Might as well get Indy out because she's the next biggest threat competition-wise. And he says, I think I can convince Taylor to go ahead and target Indy instead of Terrence. So leftovers are talking, and they agree that Indy is a bigger target. But Taylor says she's scared that the other girl's going to blame her. And she basically decides that, you know what, I've already angered Indy by putting her up anyway. So I might as well just send her home, which people's logic this week have just been all over the place. I don't like, you can still salvage that. Like, they've been saying she's fine. Like, they're all taking it well. Yeah, she's annoyed that it happened, but you're gonna for sure lose her vote if you send her out. So they all basically agree that, yeah, if we go ahead and do that, then we might as well just send Indy out if Nom stayed the same. And Kyle agrees. He said, hey, listen, I have no issues. I have no ties to Indy. So if they want to take her out, we'll take her out. So we come to the veto competition. And we see Turner is thrilled to be hosting. He says this is right up his alley. And Turner is such a surprise. Like, I was not expecting to enjoy this dude as much as possible, or as much as I am. And you know what? I gotta apologize because I kind of gave him a diss when everything was going on with Paloma and eviction night. I said, I'm pretty sure this is his first DR session that we've got. And I still believe that was the first one we got. But I take back what I said from that point. I do think that he was genuinely upset about her leaving and her mental health because he was concerned for her. So for any dissing that I've done, I apologize because Turner has become one of my favorites. In fact, I am not sure from a personality perspective who I like more, Joseph or Turner. Because I'm enjoying the heck out of both of them. And both of those guys also have been fairly strategic, not nearly as much as Michael. From a player perspective, from gameplay, Michael is my favorite, and that's who I'm hoping to get to the end. But personality-wise, definitely I like Michael, but definitely enjoy Joseph and Turner more. But I do feel like Turner's game has been a little cleaner than Joseph, and so I think overall he's probably the better player out of those two. But that's to be determined because they both have been kind of under the radar a little bit up until recently. So, but yeah, I'm just enjoying having Turner and just watching him. So we see that Terrence. I gotta put my deal on charge over here. Oh goodness. There we go. So. Terrence is the first one to drop, and surprise, surprise, he wins veto. So Indy goes out second, and she wins Inc. 182. Now, what is Inc. 182? Wink. Inc. What is Inc. 182? So the winner or the loser that receives that punishment gets to cover their whole body in tattoos. Now, when I first heard this, because I heard them, I read from one of the BB Update Twitter accounts, and all I saw was loser or the the punishment that Terrence has is he has to cover himself in tattoos. And I'm initially like, all right, I draw the line there. I'm perfectly fine with them shaving people's heads. Absolutely. Or even beards or whatever. I don't care. I think that's hilarious because you can grow that back. That's not a permanent alteration. And then I read that they're like forcing him to get tattoos, and I'm like, whoa, okay, first off, they didn't sign up for that. They definitely didn't sign up to be forced to be covered in tattoos. And on top of that, medically, like, that's going to take on a lot to make sure that when you have that many tattoos going on, that everything turns out okay. No infections or anything like that. So I was like, I'm not happy about that. And then we realized, no, it's just temporary tattoos. So I was like, okay, all right, that's funny. And you know what? We saw some on the episode. You see more on the feeds. I don't think they're that bad. I think he looks all right with them. He doesn't look bad with them, in my opinion. Yeah. So she wins the Ink 182, but she decides tattoos really aren't her thing. So she's gonna give that one to Terrence, and he gets to take the Ink 182, and she gets the veto. So after that, we see the third person to go out is Taylor. Now Taylor, she wins a trip to London, and now looking over, she sees Indy has the veto, and she's like, "Well, pretty much the veto's probably going to get used by Indy, and I guess this means that I'm going to have to get a replacement nom. So anyone that steals this from me, you're my replacement nom, automatic, right?" And she says it kind of jokingly, but that might be more have more implications than the person that might end up doing it realizes. So she gets the London trip. Alyssa goes out fourth, and she wins Skid and Fancy. Now, I know that this is supposed to be a spoof of these two people. I don't know the full story. I just know that one of them was on trial for killing the other, and then the other one overdosed. And so it's like it was never proven that he killed her, but it's a very it's not the best thing you can name them, I don't think. Yeah, Marine says, I'm not liking this Skid and Fancy punishment. IRL, not so nice people back in the... Yeah, so... And there's definitely people that were affected just by kind of the insanity that was going on. So, not... not the best choice, in my opinion. But, whatever. Whatever. So, she wins that Skid and Fancy punishment. And basically, whoever gets it is tied to someone, and they have to be chained together for a week, I think it was. Now, I don't know if it was this one or the other Punkatard one, but I think it was this one that they don't even get to take it off when they go to bed, is what I heard. They never get to take it off. Like, even when they're sleeping, they have to wear the stupid thing. So I don't know. That's a little bit much in my opinion. But whatever. So she decides that she doesn't look all that great in uniform, and she'd look a lot better in London. So she's gonna take that trip from Taylor. And she's going to give Taylor the punishment. Now, we'll talk about how that actually implicates it later. But Taylor is unhappy. And yeah, rightly so. I mean, you have helped her. She even said, she's like, I've helped this girl a ton. Like, I've saved her butt a ton this week, trying to keep her from going up. And then she's going to steal my trip as HOH. You could have gone for the veto, which is what she should have done. And by all means, I think Taylor should have gone for the veto too. It doesn't matter how good of a prize it is. You take the veto. Because even if you don't think it's that video is gonna help you, Alyssa even points it out later, and we'll talk about, makes you look too comfortable. You look too comfortable. You look like you're not worried about anything, and you also kind of look like you don't care about the rest of the game. So it's not a good idea. I don't think anyone should have taken it, but Alyssa steals it from Taylor, and Taylor is obviously upset. She's like, I've saved you, I've covered for you, and now you're putting me in a bad spot and giving me this punishment as the HOH. You want to butter me up because I get to decide who the renom is. And by the way, did you just hear me? Did you not just hear what I said? That someone steals this from me, I'm going to put them up. And Monty reiterates that. He's like, what is she doing? Like, she should know better than to take that trip from her, because she literally just said that she would put you up. And we have seen people go on the block for something much less worse, whatever, like what, much less than that, right? So that was fun. Jasmine goes out in 5th place, and she gets the $5,000 reward. So she gives it to Alyssa and steals her trip, which, I mean, if you're gonna take a luxury item, I guess you could take the trip. I would much prefer the cash. Taking the trip, I do feel like helps you game wise, because yeah, you won like a vacation, but I don't feel like people are really going to hold you accountable for someone else taking you on vacation as much as they will for the money. You take that money, people are like, well, they've already won 5K. They make it to the end, they've already won 55K. So like, there's no point for me to give them any more money because they've already got a good amount. So I guess, strategy-wise, it's a better option to take that. But that means that Kyle wins the competition. And he smashes his guitar, and he gets the punkatard. And so he decides to not let Indy skate by another round, as she's continued to do, and take that veto from her and give her the punkatard, which means Kyle wins Golden Power of Veto. Man, I wish I could get those like sound bites for that, but I think those would probably be copyright claimed. I don't even know where I would get it without having like the background talking. I'm sure I could have someone make it, but it's probably get copywritten because that's stupid. But that'd be fun. I need to get something. But yeah, Kyle wins the veto, and he takes it from Indy. So we come back and we start seeing Alyssa have a little bit of instant regret. And she says, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have taken that trip away from the HOH. I shouldn't have given them the punishment in return either. And she says that her mom is going to be mad at her for not taking the veto, because her mom basically will tell her the exact same thing that we already know. That makes you look too comfortable. The moment you make yourself look too comfortable, people are going to realize you have a reason to look that comfortable, and they're going to pluck you right out of there. So she's already regretting it. Meanwhile, juxtaposed upstairs, we have Taylor, and she's talking to Monty and Brittany and Joseph, and she says that she just might have to put Alyssa up. If she leaves, the other side of the house basically is going to crumble, and that'll just be easier targets. Monty says that if Taylor's willing to use this to take out Alyssa, then by all means, that's one less person that they got to worry about. No, it wasn't Monty. That was someone else. But anyway, might have been Joseph. But Monty says that, look, sometimes the other side, they just get themselves in a bad spot. We don't have to do anything, right? They just line themselves up and put a target on their own back. And then he says that it didn't have to happen this way, but basically she did it to herself. Michael says that Kyle, or Michael asked, is Kyle going to be okay with this, right? And he tells us, he says, the reason for Alyssa being put up is the stupidest reason I've ever heard. It's petty, and it makes no sense at all. that this is not like, I get it. You're annoyed, Taylor. She took it. Completely understand that, but this is not a good reason to base a game move off of. We've already have the plan. So, he knows that Kyle is not going to be up for this. So Monty says that, her and Kyle are a threat combined, and that this way we can separate them, maybe pull Kyle back in a little bit, and take out the threat that is that showmance. And Michael or Kyle says that, yeah, Alyssa basically shouldn't have done this. He's like, oh, there's no reason for this. And now you got yourself in even more hot water. So he's annoyed because he can kind of see what's about to happen. Michael says, listen, this has got the potential to go really bad, and we might just see the blow up of the leftovers. And that's it. So we don't see the veto ceremony. We are shown, and part of me is annoyed when we don't see the veto ceremony, but I actually kind of enjoy not having to wait after the veto ceremony to see, kind of the fallout. I don't like the cutoff and it instantly is like, oh, what's going to happen? I actually kind of favor this style of cliffhanger for me personally. I like it a little bit better. So I don't mind. Again, it feels a little abrupt because we're not used to it, and they've done this a couple times before, but they've never really made a habit of it. And this is the second time they've done it this season. I don't watch it anymore, but I used to watch The Bachelor a lot, and that's something that they got caught up with for several seasons in a row. And maybe they still do it. I don't know, but after the first week episode or that first night or whatever, usually after that they would start doing that, where they would have a cliffhanger right before their rose ceremony, and then they would pick back up on that the next episode, and then it would go on. We've not seen them do that like this. I don't mind it if they do, but on the other hand, it's just an extra thing that's going to take away from time that we could have on Thursday's episode. So that's a good reason to be opposed to it. Because Lord knows we don't need anything else to take away from the strategy talk on Thursday's episode. The episode is just not long enough, and there's no room for any extra anything. Yeah, I see how fast I changed my mind. I'm not the happiest with, but oh well. So yeah, that does it for the episode tonight. But we got exciting stuff in the works. Tomorrow's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, as we've already said, because we have a 2-hour episode and we have an entirely new twist that, again, I'm the twist Grim Reaper. I hate them, but this one actually looks like if it becomes embedded as like part of the game, if they do it right, this has the potential to go very south, and most likely it will. It will most likely go south. But if we can get a fairly good shuffle, and I know people are probably thinking it might be, we need to split the leftovers half and half, or as best we can. But if we have one side of the house that has 4 leftovers and it'd be 3 and 4. So 4 leftovers, 1 non-leftover, and then we have the other side, which is 3 leftovers and 2 non. There's not like any room for any shift to happen. Personally, I'm looking forward to hoping that we get one side of the house that's all leftovers, and then another side that's like 2 leftovers and the rest non-leftovers, because I think that gives us the best opportunity for something on that other side of the house to shift and break, because then they've just lost the majority. So that I'm hoping and praying that that's what we get with however we split, however we draw, whatever. That's what I'm really hoping for. Are we going to get that? No, Probably not. Probably not, but that is what I'm hoping we get. So I'm gonna be sitting here waiting and hoping that's what it ends up being, because if we're gonna go through this type of a twist, we really need to we got to have some type of good outcome. And there's a lot of potential here, but it could get screwed up. And also, not to mention the fact that we could end up... Oh, I wasn't even thinking of this. If we do have a whole side with all 5 leftovers, then they already have to turn on each other. So we could end up... We're likely even, I would say. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like, just quick math, we're likely to have 2 leftovers out in the same night, which I guess would be next week. So tomorrow's not the double, one person going home. Next week is a double. I guess it's only 1 episode. They haven't said 1 episode. That's what I'm assuming. I really hope that's not the case. Not 1 episode, 1 hour. I'm assuming it's only 1 hour. I really hope that it's a 2-hour episode, but probably won't be. So, oh well. But yeah, I think, again, if we can get a 5 and 2, that's going to be the best case scenario, because we could see a lot of fun stuff go down if that does end up happening. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of different ways this could go down, and I'm hoping it goes down in a good, positive way. I'm hoping we enjoy it. So, but yeah, tomorrow night's going to be a fun episode, guys. I did say we kind of go over some of the stuff. We've gone on for quite some time, so we'll catch up on that tomorrow. Basically what I'll say is, we'll give a little bit of spoilers here, so be prepared if you don't want that. But when they first gave us the preview for the episode, when they're like, what will such and such do, and watch to see this, I was surprised they didn't say anything about a blow up for the veto ceremony. And they didn't at the end, but they did mention, are the leftovers finally going to split? And we're going to see something, right? We're going to see something happen. And I think a lot of the conversations that we're having about what could or could not happen for the upcoming split week is going to change after we see tomorrow's episode, because there is a decent blow up following the veto ceremony, and not everyone is happy with some of the decisions in the alliance. And there's a couple alliance members that have already pretty much written each other off. So this next week's going to be fun. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to be trying to catch a lot of the feeds. If anything is really major going down, like I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say we will have any live feed watch alongs specifically for specific stuff, because I don't know. But I definitely am planning on doing some, because I think it's going to be, depending on how it goes, it could be a really fun week for feeds. So we'll probably do a couple feed watch along streams throughout the course of next week. So be prepared for that. Be on the lookout for that. And as I always say, I don't have access to the community tab yet until I hit 500 subs. So all my channel updates, anytime we go live, if you don't have notifications turned on YouTube, which you should, if you're not already subscribed, you should be. And if you haven't already liked this video, you should, because if you're still here, that means there's something you like about it. So hit that like button. And if you like the video, you like the stream, subscribe and come enjoy more of what you already know you like. Yeah, there's that. So, also, but beyond just the initial, hey, this is when we're live, I do try and post updates, whenever we're going to do any extra streams, or I try and let you guys know if we have to cancel a stream. It's all on my Twitter. So follow me at DakChats on Twitter, and you'll get all of our updates there. Yeah, so be on the lookout. We're going to have a lot of fun this week, and I am super pumped for tomorrow's episode, guys. We've already got the stream scheduled. Everything's ready to go. So hit that notify me on go look for tomorrow's stream. Hit that notify me and get ready, get prepared, because we're going to be blazing pretty much as soon as the episode ends tomorrow, just a little bit after 10. We're going to be hopping on here. We're going to have a fun stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll see what happens. But make sure to tune in tomorrow. Come back for deck chats, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll go through some of our live chat real quick. Marine's been our only chatter tonight. If you guys have any questions, but while we're reading these off, make sure to drop them in the chat, and we'll cover them before we go. Marine says, I'm very nervous about the twist. Also, I'm so over Jasmine's birthday. Yeah, like I said, I haven't watched a whole lot. I heard that she basically decided to tell people to sit around in a circle, and each person has to list off at least one thing they like about her. I wouldn't be able to list anything off. And then, Marine, don't worry about it. Hey, if you dislike it, you dislike it. You know, hopefully you've changed your mind. And then, Marine mentioned about Skid and Fancy. Some of the decisions they make is beyond me. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I know tonight was a little bit more slower pace, a little bit more of a chill stream. And I didn't have as many people out tonight, but we appreciate you guys that did come out and join live. If you're watching this after the fact, we try and do these after each and every episode, about 15 to 30 minutes after the episode airs, especially Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we have a lot of fun, especially on Thursdays. So if you haven't caught these live after the what is it, West Coast airing, I always forget which one, but West Coast Big Brother time, about 15 to 30 minutes after the episode ends on that coast, then we go live here, and we have a lot of fun. So come and join us live if you haven't already. But with that, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining, as we've already said, and we will see you guys tomorrow night. Everyone, stay safe, have fun, and get your popcorn ready, because we're going to have a lot of